O Yahweh, open up you my lips, and let my mouth show forth your praise. Kuma, Yahweh, Wayaputsu o Yaveka, Wayanusa misanecha mikaniacha. Kuma, Yahweh, Wayaputsu o Yaveka, Wayanusa misanecha mikaniacha. Arise of you, O Yahweh. Let your enemies be scattered, and let those that hate thee flee from before thee. Let all of Yahsharel, Yisrael, who love, worship, and praise Yahweh, give him thanks by saying Hallelujah.
Good morning, all the Congolese around the world and all my other African brothers. I would like you guys to know exactly what is happening in Congo. What's happening is that France, the French people, they're actually standing behind Rwanda for the killing of the Congolese based on the resources that we have in Congo. Mind you, in the whole of Africa, we actually were the first country that were French-spoken country, meaning we're colonized by French people. In this case, they were supposed to be behind us, but they went as far as sending armies to Rwanda to reinforce the Rwandan army so they can kill more of Congolese people. When we go back, Rwanda does not even speak French. Rwanda is an English country. They speak English, they learn English. When you go to Congo, French is our first language. We speak French and we have adopted their culture. This is something that does not make me happy because I cannot just stand here and watch our brothers and sisters getting raped, killed by Rwandan people. Every day, a father is losing a son or a daughter in Congo for the sake of the French and Rwandans. This is it's not on. I'm not accepting this. So I am here to actually call not only Congolese, but all African people and any other person who has the love of God for humanity to stand together with us and stop what the French are doing to Congolese people. This has to end. This needs to stop. And I'm calling on to Congolese youth to now wake up and open their eyes. We need to stand for our country. We have been killed, we have been abused for so long. Our time is now for us to stand and speak. And this is to the President of Congo, Monsieur le Président Tshisekedi. This is now how we are watching. How are you going to solve this issue? And remember, your vote, your next elections and your votes are depending on how you're going to deal with this issue of M23 that is happening in the part of Congo. This killing has to stop. Enough is enough now. I will call everyone to stand with us. Congo is bleeding. We need your help, people. We are tired of this Rwandan people for exploitations of Congolese. We are tired.
So when we were running away from Congo, my mom had joined a particular group of people. Like, you have to join groups for you to be safe, to be secure, since my mom was just a woman with kids, right? And when you run away from home, you have to stay clear of roads. Like, you just have to stay away from roads. You have to stay in the bush unless otherwise. You get my point? So UN had helicopters and planes which were dropping parachutes in the forest. And these parachutes had medical supplies, food, clothing, money, and guns. The first group that we were with, the strongest, they was now fighting for the money, the guns, and the food. So since my mother was just a woman, she had to stand back and watch. And people were literally now killing each other over the supplies. So I'll never forget the sound of the big helicopter. The big helicopter when it's in between, not a helicopter, it's a plane, eh? When it's just there, it goes like, woo, woo. I'll never forget because we're now running away. So people were now avoiding these UN parachutes. If you hear it that way, you go that way. Because everywhere you go, you find the UN parachute, dead people. UN parachute, dead people. I remember when the UN officials came to get us from Kazungura in Kasani, they brought a UN car. I remember seeing that UN in blue. I was like, Tunaisha. As a kid, you don't say much. You just think, and all you can do is cry. So I'm not crying. My mom is not comfortable. Like, nobody's going to say anything. We're just like there. And these people are talking to us, and I see a white guy. I remember this guy was called Santino. I don't know where he was from. His name was Santino. And at this point in time, I had very small comforts around white people after what I've seen them do, And it's UN, it's white people. I was just crying. I didn't know where we were going, what is going to happen to us. So a few years later, I'm like 10, I was 11, 12, right? I go for a mental assessment. Every refugee goes through a mental assessment. I meet up with this white, nice lady. She's very calm. She calls me in her office. You do it individually. No mother, no brother, nobody, just yourself. And this lady starts giving me sweets. And she also gives me drink. I say, madam, anything you want, I'll tell you. With this car, I will tell you everything. What do you want to know? In the process of me telling her everything, I get to the part where I tell her about the helicopters and the UN parachute. She goes like, UN don't do that. UN don't do that. I'm a kid. She starts lecturing me about what UN does. Me, I'm a kid. Me, I'm busy eating. And you could tell that she can tell that I don't care. Now I know what I know. What you know is what you know. And then she recommends me for psychiatric help. She said I was traumatized. After my mom was told that I'm not mentally stable, as soon as we got home, my mom goes like, stop telling these people things. Just stop telling these UNHCR employees things. Just stop. Because what you went through, Zawadi. There's nothing we can do to change it. You just have to learn how to live with these things. Well, she was like, you have to be strong. You have to be strong. And indeed, when we stopped telling them, they stopped pushing for psychiatric help and medication and injections. And I realized so many refugees stopped telling UNHCR employees everything because they were afraid of being called mentally unstable. They were afraid of being called liars, So many people who have survived war, there are some things that they don't tell the world because they broke them. Some of them, it's going to take them a very, very long time to talk about it because it's not easy, We try. Growing up in Duke refugee camp was the worst. It was like, there was never in between. In Duke refugee camp, it's either you are committing suicide or mentally ill, or you are playing strong. Growing up in Duke refugee camp, you're always on survival mode. You never know what's going to happen to you whenever. You could be sleeping and somebody gets in your tent and rapes you. You could be walking from school and you're getting attacked or something. It was never safe, At this point in time, I don't like making myself like, oh my God, I've been the best in my life. No, I've never known a good life. Like, since I was a kid till today, I've never known a good life. All I've known is struggles. And I'm tired, I'm tired. I'm tired of struggling.
Jambo banduku mina loria tena ni mie bajana ba Kongole mine mita tushimame pamoja. Mina lomba sema hii mambo ya kuluma hii habitupeleke fashi. Tukipate Rwande ku Kongo mwenye na murenge tushita taba polisie shibenye tumuwe kama ni kumuchoma mumuchome mukate bipande.
Kagame is actually one of Africa's biggest problems. Because Congo is the biggest dissettlement of Africa that causes Africa never to unite. And Kagame is the reason why we've got the Congolese struggle.
The DRC, my basic understanding is that it's the wealthiest country
in Africa,
on the continent from a mineral perspective.
In the world, yeah.
It's the wealthiest country in the world from a natural resources perspective.
100%.
And you're saying Paul Kagame has a part to play in that?
Yeah, people don't understand that we always hear about the Rwandan genocide. The Rwandan genocide was started by Paul Kagame. And he started the Rwandan genocide because he wanted to take power by force in a country that would have never elected him into power, because he came from the minority Tutsis who used to be supported by the colonizer and used to be the administrators on behalf of the colonizer. So for Paul Kagame to come back as a Tutsi to come and take power in Rwanda, he needed to do something. And what he did is he started the genocide. He started the genocide by bringing down a plane that had two presidents, Hutu presidents, the Burundian president and the Rwandan president. Paul Kagame and his RFP forces shot down the plane when it was landing back in Rwanda from actually an AU meeting. And when that plane came down, then it inflamed the Hutu people who knew that they were RFP fighters who were trying to take power by force. And so they began to fight against Tutsi people who they felt wanted to come and take over power. While they were doing that, Paul Kagame himself sent his forces to murder his own Tutsi people on a whole-scale level to make it look like a genocide, so that he could then have his forces come into Rwanda and take over power militarily under the guise of stopping a genocide against Tutsis.
These are all things that are factual.
Well documented.
Jeez.
It is actually something that the International Court of Justice wanted to persecute him for, and then the Americans covered up for him and the French covered up for him so that it wouldn't come out. But Paul Kagame came into power by murdering his own people. Then when he did that, he then took Laurent Kabila, who was now living in Rwanda, to go and take over power from Mobutu Sese Seko.
These are the leaders in the DRC.
This was in the DRC. And the arrangement that he had with Mobutu is, once you're in power, you need to bring some of my own people into your system. And the reason why he wanted to bring his own people into the system is that the Tutsis see themselves as a superior people to Bantus. And so they want to reinstitute to go and stop Kagame from overthrowing Kabila. They were able to repel Kagame and Museveni's troops. And so Kabila was not overthrown because of that. For that reason, and us taking land in exactly the same time, the Western world came together and imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe. Because they said that this military that was used in Mozambique, that also participated in Angola, and now is coming to Congo, is becoming a hindrance to imperialism. So we need to break the power of the Zimbabwean military. Let's put them under sanctions. So that's what caused the sanctions. So when that happened, it was fortunate that enough war had been undertaken by the Zimbabweans, the Namibians, and the Angolans for there to be people within the Kagame and the rebel movements who agreed to the Sun City Accord. And that's why you had peace in Congo and the Sun City Accord that was then brokered by Thabo Mbeki. But remember, when Zimbabwe...
Broken by Thabo Mbeki? Brokered, okay.
Yeah. But remember, Thabo Mbeki was able to come and assist in negotiations. But Nelson Mandela had refused to go to Congo and assist Kabila on instruction of the Americans. The Americans said, you don't go there. But there is allegations that while all this fighting was happening, executive outcomes had people assisting Kagame and Museveni and the rebel movements to try and overthrow Kabila. So Kagame was being assisted. Museveni was being assisted by ex-SADF forces who are now calling themselves the mercenaries or the executive outcomes. And I think you've seen the video of Saima that talks about how black people were infected with HIV and how Saima went through SADC to kill certain people. The Tutsis see themselves as a superior people to Bantus. And so they want to reinstitute something called the Mapororo Tutsi Empire that is going to rule over Central Africa and the Great Lakes. Because if you look where they came from in Uganda, Museveni is Tutsi. And he is the one who trained together with people like Paul Kagame in Tanzania together with our liberation fighters. And when they came from those liberation camps, then Museveni went and took power from Obote. And then he put people like Kagame and the Hutus and the Tutsis into his army and intelligence. They then started murdering non-Tutsis who wanted power in Uganda because they were majorities. And that's how Museveni becomes the president of Uganda as a Tutsi, and then he begins to assist Kagame together with the Europeans, the Americans, to then create a force that is going to take power in Rwanda. And then they must take power in Rwanda, instill a Tutsi in Burundi, and instill a Tutsi in Congo. So when they then succeeded in getting what do you call him? Kabila into power, Kabila refused to put Tutsis into his government. And when he refused, then Kagame and Museveni then sent their armies and rebels into Congo with an intention to remove Kabila. Kabila then ran to SADC. And that time SADC had an organ, or the military institution was called the organ, which was being headed by Mugabe. And he said, listen, they want to overthrow me. And he gave them the reasons why they want to overthrow. Mugabe sent a fact-finding mission that it consisted of Zambians, Namibians, Angolans, South Africans, and everybody from SADC region. And he realized that this was actually a problem. So they went to Uganda, they went to Rwanda, they couldn't find Museveni when they went to Uganda, they couldn't find Kagame when they went to Rwanda, but they got information that there was going to be an overthrow of Kabila, and then the UN was going to be forced to actually come up with a policy that says Congo must be broken down into 5 countries.
Jeez.
The 5 countries would then be easier to loot for the West through Uganda, Rwanda, and their own people that they would have placed within the Congolese system. Then Zambia and Zimbabwe came up with a counter proposal, but they also sent the armies of the Namibians and the Angolans to go and stop Kagame from overthrowing Kabila. They were able to repel Kagame and Museveni's troops.
Thank you everyone for your donations and support. It means a lot. And subscribe or simply become a member into alltruth.net to get updates on videos and educational materials.
Suba, Aleph, Yahsharel, Yahweh. And may the Ruach HaKodesh lead you into all truth and show you things to come.
I'm giving recognition to the Most High Yahuwah. I'm giving thanks and praises for the many blessings I receive from His favor.
Arise of you, O Yahweh. Let your enemies be scattered, and let those that hate thee flee from before thee. Let all of Yahsharel, Israel, who love, worship, and praise Yahweh, give him thanks by saying hallelujah.